Alrighty, welcome back everybody to CC Sports Talk Podcast. This is episode number 9. We're just going to talk about the NFL playoffs this weekend. You know, we had some crazy games. A lot of them were good games, except the Seahawks game. But lots of drama happened this weekend. Lots of controversial stuff. We'll get into that. We'll talk about the college football playoff that's going to happen tonight, and then some storylines around NFL head coaching around the league. And I felt like at the end of the episode I'd do a little exercise, and I just want to rank the opening jobs that are left right now and see where we're at. But yeah, there's a lot of controversy this weekend. Lots of things happening in games that people didn't agree with, as in the Bills game. But we'll dive right into that game. The Broncos 33, Bills 30. The game went into overtime. It was a great game, very entertaining game. The Bills, of course, have this comeback. They were down by, I think, 13 points at one point. Josh Allen just put this team on his back. Josh Allen actually played good, except some of his turnovers were bad, except the one in overtime, that was just a great play by the defender, which I do think was an interception. I hate to say it, people, but I do think it's an interception. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but it's just how I feel. I definitely think it was an interception. But yeah, and then to start the game, the Bills played very well. First possession, you saw the Bo Nix threw one of the best passes I've ever seen him throw in the end zone, and little Jordan Humphrey dropped it. So they ended up setting for 3, and then the Bills actually just ran the ball all over the Broncos defense. I felt like in the first 3 quarters. The running game played great. Denver's defense is just not that as good as we thought anymore. They're just not the same. They just start off the year great and then just slowly decline. They plateaued a little bit. But yeah, their run defense is not good. They're not as physical as we thought they were maybe. The pass rush hasn't been getting there too much. I think they had a couple sacks on Josh Allen, but nothing where I felt like they impacted the game a lot. But yeah, James Cook had a great day. Other than that fumble, he's just a fumble machine. I thought Ramondre Stevenson was bad one. No, this guy's just even worse. This guy just fumbled Ruski all over the place. But yeah, the Bills' defense just it's not very good. Bo Nix didn't play good in the second half. Or the rest of the game really, he didn't play that good in overtime either. Except that touchdown throw to Lil Jordan Humphrey was a great throw. This one that Humphrey actually caught. But yeah, I thought the turnover right before half really hurt them. Like when Josh Allen fumbled and the Broncos ended up settling for 3 right before the half. I thought that was kind of bad coaching too. Like I get being aggressive there and trying to get points and stuff like that, but you get the ball after half. You could have just took a knee and went into the tunnel and said, let's live to fight another day. But you put themselves in a 10-point hole, which obviously Josh Allen can come back from. He's so good, but you'd rather not be losing more than you should. And no one wants to do that. But yeah, the Bo Nix, I'm sorry, he makes some throws where I'm like, that's great though, and he makes other throws like, who are you throwing to? Like, what are you doing? He'll be out for the playoffs. He broke his ankle on the second to last play when he was on the kneel down, which is crazy. You see them winning, and all of a sudden, right after the game, you see all this positive stuff for the Broncos. Broncos won, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden you see Bo Nix out for the year, according to Sean Payton, which I feel bad for him. I like Jared Stidham. Jared Stidham is their backup. He was an old Patriots player. I thought we should have played him instead of Cam Newton. But yeah, I thought some of the pass interferences. The one on Tre'Davious White I thought was definitely pass interference, but the one before that I didn't really think was pass interference. I thought the interception was the right call on the ball where they were fighting for it and stuff like that. Where McMillan took it away from Brandon Cooks. Cooks, yeah, he has to come down with that ball, but I thought the defender made a great play, and I thought it was the right call. Brandon Cooks clearly didn't have the ball. Clearly. I don't know why this is such a big deal. He clearly didn't have the ball. I do understand why Sean McDermott maybe is frustrated that they didn't review it, which I totally understand. If I was a Bills fan or I was a Bills coach or part of that coaching staff, I would definitely want them to review that for sure. But yeah, I mean, it was a great year for Josh Allen. Like I've been saying all year, I thought they were going to win the Super Bowl. I thought it was just his year. It was his time. Every quarterback has their year, and I thought, it was their time. It was their time to shine. But who knows? Now that they fired their coach, Sean McDermott. We'll talk about that later a little bit. I thought it was deserved, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, the Bills just need to get one. They need to stay healthy. They had a lot of key players, and Bernard and Poyer not playing, and they had the guy that tore his Achilles in the Chiefs game, Hauk, I think his name is, or I don't know, and they had who else was hurt? Oh, what's his name? It's escaping me. He's a good player. Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver did play yesterday, or 2 days ago, but he ended up coming out of the game. I mean, he would have been a great addition for their defense if he could play the whole game and was impactful. But yeah, he couldn't stay healthy. I feel like they didn't use their tight ends that much, so either maybe that was, he missed them, or the Broncos did good on defending them. Because their tight ends, I feel like they're very, very good. Kincaid, Knox, even Haas was good. Their running back's good. I think Shakir's good. And one other thing I noticed that they have Elijah Moore. I always liked Elijah Moore. He was good on the Browns, good on the Jets, and he just couldn't touch the field with them. Brandon Cooks was pretty good for them, but they just need to get their true number one receiver, someone like Stephon Diggs back. But less diva and stuff like that. But I mean, I did feel bad for the Josh Allen and their players after the game, all crying and stuff like that, devastated. You never want to see that, but you really don't see that much. I feel like players crying and stuff like that, but it's too bad. But yeah, I mean, the Bills just need to get a number one receiver. He needs a new coach, obviously. I thought Sean McDermott really. I thought right before half that was terrible decisions. They should have just went to the half. But yeah. Next game I want to talk about is Seahawks 41, Bears 6. I don't know what to talk about this game. Not much to talk about here. I don't even know. Brock Purdy just got killed the whole game. They had no chance. Their offensive line was terrible. The 49ers' offensive line is just so bad. Their injuries really caught up to them, even though they did have D. Winters back and he played good. But their impact guys just weren't there, like Bosa, Warner, Kittle, obviously, which is too bad. I'll probably be out a lot next year too. But yeah. The Seahawks just ran the ball down the throat. Darnold didn't throw that many times. We saw the reports going into the game where Darnold, didn't even throw a football, and then because of his oblique injury. But yeah, that defense on Seattle is just so good. I think they'll probably win the Super Bowl now. They're my pick to win the Super Bowl now. That defense is just way too good, way too fast, way too strong, way too physical. Darnold is. If the Texans had what Darnold was, the Texans could make the Super Bowl too. But if Darnold starts turning over, they won't win. But right now he's playing flawless football. He's just playing good, playing well. He's hanging in there. We'll see what happens with his injury. But if he flares up or oblique injuries are always strange, always weird. I'm pretty sure they're pretty painful. But yeah. I don't know what to talk about this game. Seattle was their defense is just so physical, so strong, so fast. Their running game played so well yesterday. Kenneth Walker had 3 touchdowns, I think. They did lose Charbonnet, but it didn't matter in that game. Their offensive line is really, really good too. But yeah. I mean, sorry, there's someone in the backyard doing something. It's distracting me. um, yeah, the 49ers have definitely some soul searching to look after this game. With all their injuries and stuff like that, they gotta figure it out. They gotta figure out what's going on there with that. They have to figure out a way where they don't have all these injuries. If that power plant thing is true, where we saw the reports, the people next to the power plant could lead to injuries and stuff like that because they practice and play next to this huge power plant, which is very interesting. It's something I do believe, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that I think it's time to really, you know, it's year after year after year where these bad injuries are happening, and they got to figure out a solution to that where it's practicing less or figuring out new medical staff or training less or something like that. They got to figure it out because these injuries are really hurting them. It's hurting the game, the product. Because if they were healthy, they're a really good team, but they're just never healthy. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that next year will be interesting. When they're fully healthy and maybe they get some additions in the offseason. The draft picks this year were really good, except some of them got hurt, of course. But it's time for them to figure out this health thing. It's year after year after year. It's just not bad luck. There's something else going on. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I mean, the Seattle Seahawks, they just have, their front office is just, I mean, if you look at them, they never bottomed out, and they're this good. They never bottomed out. They went from Russell to Geno to Sam Darnold, and they didn't have to bottom up for the quarterback, and they just drafted great. You hear all these reports of teams constantly in the middle of the round. They don't know who to draft. They don't know who to pick. They need to bottom out to get good picks. But you look at their GM, John Snyder, which is probably the best in the league. He's better than Roseman, in my opinion. And you look at him, and they're constantly getting guys in the middle rounds like Gray Zabel and Byron Murphy and Tariq Woolen was not a very high pick either. But I think they're good enough to win the Super Bowl. It'll be interesting. Excuse me. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I think it's wide open. But yeah. Sorry, I'm texting the wife. She wants to know if we have onions. She's at the store grocery shopping. But yeah. All right. Well, I don't know what. There's not much to talk about that game. It was just the Seahawks just killed them, and their special teams are just the best in the league now. With Raheem Sheed, you saw them run back the opening kickoff, and after that you're like, yep, it's gonna be one of those games. You couldn't kind of always tell when that happens, but yeah, they're probably Super Bowl bound. They're good enough to win it. I like their coach a lot. Their GM's the best in the league. The offensive coordinator's good. He'll probably get a head coaching job, if not next year. But yeah. Next game I want to talk about was Patriots 28, Texans 16. I was very nervous about this game as a Patriots fan. We all talk about how good that Houston defense is. It's one of the best defenses in the league, one of the best all-time defenses in my opinion. You saw them get to Drake May. Drake May fumbled 4 times, got 2 of them back. They just killed Will Campbell. Same thing every time, just attacking Campbell. But yeah. Drake May did make some good throws when he needed to. The Kayshon Boutte touchdown, the Douglas touchdown, the Stephon Diggs touchdown. Everybody was talking about the Stephon Diggs catch, which was an amazing, great catch. But that throw was perfect. That was perfect placement. That's exactly where the ball needed to go. Kayshon Boutte too. He's been great for us. He got a couple slants over the middle. We got big gains out of him. Then he got that one-handed catch touchdown, which is great, insane. When I first saw it, I thought he did like the Odell Beckham and just caught it, but he brought it into his body and used 2 hands. But our defense played very, very well. Our defense played so good. I'm very proud of them because I'm not confident in them at all. Our defensive line was just getting so much pressure. And sorry, I'm looking up some stats. Stroud had all his turnovers in the first half. That's terrible. That's awful. In person, I was like waiting for another one, waiting for another one. Patriots defense, they don't get many interceptions. They're just very good at betting, not breaking. They don't get very many interceptions. Carlton Davis played his best game all year. Even though that pass interference call was terrible on him. But who cares? He played great. And Gonzalez played great. Marcus Jones played great. That interception he brought back to the house was great. Our pressure was getting home all day. The offensive line's terrible. The offensive line's just as bad as the the Chargers offensive line. They're terrible. And they had Trent Brown out, but I don't think it would have mattered if Trent Brown was out. Was playing. Chase on I feel like was repeatedly getting in there. Ponder was getting in there. Barmore, Milton Williams were getting in there. Tonga, you saw Tonga come back. He's a great addition to our defense. He's been great for us all year long, and you saw him get a couple sacks. He had a great game. Our rush defense, only let up 17, I think, yards, or 17. No, maybe more than that. But they only let up like 30-something yards or something low like that. Our rush defense has been great all year, especially when we have Milton Williams back. You could tell the weather right away was going to be a problem for the Houston offense. Stroud was airmailing people or throwing it at their feet, and they had a bunch of drops. They didn't help out Stroud at all, but Stroud made some terrible passes. The second Carlton Davis interception was great, where when he tipped it and he got both his feet in. He had such a good game. I think he stinks, but we got to the playoffs and he's been playing the best ball of the season so far. So maybe he's one of those guys that just plays great in the playoffs. Same as Gonzalez. Gonzalez just turns it on in the big games. He's been playing great for us. We're having Spillane back our defense. That's also helped our rush defense. You saw him make that great deflection at the end of the game when Stroud just hucked it up there, which I thought was such a stupid play. It was 4th down and 4. You could have just ran it straight. He hit the wide open lane. But yeah, if he wasn't such a young quarterback and you're about to give him an extension and stuff like that, I would think about maybe sorry, my cat. I would think about maybe benching him, but you just can't do that. He's made the playoffs 3 years in a row. He hasn't played good in this playoffs at all. But yeah, Davis Mills played pretty good for them. I would consider starting him. I would have considered starting him in the second half yesterday. If they didn't get that touchdown where Christian Kirk made a crazy play, if they didn't have that, it would have been a blowout. Christian Kirk had to make a great catch in that play. And the thing is, though, the Houston defense was playing good. They had their turnovers. They got to May 4. They got 4 fumbles out of May and got 2 of them. The Texans had opportunities. Our defense just shut them down. And I thought, them at the end of the game, there was a situation where they were down by, I think, 5, and they could have went for it or punted, and they punted, and I think that's when we ended up scoring the booty touchdown. I thought that was not very smart from Ryan. So you got to be aggressive and trying to win, especially our offense is really good. Your defense is really good. It was one versus one, best offense versus best defense, but you got to score points. You can't just let it all on your defense. But yeah, Houston, if I'm the defense, I'm pissed. I'm pissed because we played good all year. We played good yesterday, and the defense couldn't do anything. And Stroud just kept turning the ball over. Supposedly his hand was hurt, his throwing hand was hurt, and he couldn't compete. That's why his throws were so inaccurate and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think mentally he was feeling the pressure. They were getting so much pressure on him. He was getting hit a lot. Our defensive line those last 2 weeks has just been playing amazing. They've just been getting so much pass rush. I thought our rush offense actually played pretty well when Stevenson was playing. Stevenson's been very, very good in the last couple of games for us, especially in the playoffs. He's been really good. He's better than Henderson. I hate when people say Trevor Henderson's better than him. It's just not true. But yeah. I got really nervous there in the second half and the third quarter, when the defense just kept in stops. Their defense kept getting stops. I thought the Josh McDaniels play calling was horrendous. Since the first possession, I was like, guys, I was texting my buddies, guys, what is this guy doing? This is such soft offensive play calling. Let's just run up the middle, then screen pass third down, run up the middle, screen pass on third down. Like, what are we doing? You got to be a little aggressive here. I mean, you're playing the best defense in the league. You can't just sit back and be babies with them. You gotta try. I mean, and there were passes open down the field that Drake May just missed. Like, there was guys open. So why don't keep going to that? And then don't do the outside runs. The outside runs yesterday were horrendous. They had no chance. They were -3, -4, -5 every time, especially when it was Travion Henderson. But yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for the Patriots because they're going to go play in Denver. Denver has their backup quarterback. Jared Stidham, we're familiar with him, so there might be a little bit of a, try to prove us wrong type thing going, which I'm a little afraid of. Sometimes that goes good, sometimes it goes bad. But yeah, I mean, I'm so happy. You would never think that beginning of the season that you would say, hey, we're in the AFC Championship. If someone said that to me at the beginning of the year, they'd say, hey, your team's going to be in the AFC Championship, I would think he's crazy. But Drake made the plays when they needed to. Keishawn Boutte was great. Our defense was awesome, lights out. They played actually better than I thought they were going to play in the playoffs. But yeah, I'm just happy that we made it. Happy to be back in the playoffs and be a winning team again. But yeah, next game I'm going to talk about is Rams 20, Bears 17. This game was 8 degrees or something like that. So you can definitely tell it was going to be a low-scoring game at the beginning. I thought at the beginning of the game, the way that the sideline reporters were talking about how much stuff the Rams brought to stay warm and not be bothered by the weather and stuff like that. I thought, if you're that worried about the weather, you're already lost, and they proved me wrong. They won. I thought Caleb Williams was atrocious. Obviously, that touchdown throw on 4th and 4 at the end of the game, at the end of regulation, was insane and crazy. But I mean, other than that, I think he's horrendous and terrible. Obviously, one of his interceptions was like a punt. He just kind of hucked it down the field, unless he really did miss him, which I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But yeah. Both those defenses played pretty good. I was really low on both those defenses. I think the Rams defense is terrible, and I think the Bears defense is terrible. But they both had great game plans. The weather really slowed down both offenses. I think in the second half, Stafford played very well. The running game played very well. That was a real tough game win for the Rams. Going to this game, Stafford was 1-9 in cold weather games. And this was cold. This is not just cold. This was cold. And yeah, he played great. And he made the throws he needed to. That Devonta Adams throw in the fourth quarter, maybe overtime, was just a great throw, great pass. Yeah, Puka Nacua was just great, really, really good. He seemed bothered by the cold, though, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I mean, both defenses really surprised me. And I really like that Bears player, Brisker. I mean, that guy's great. He's like a big safety linebacker, hybrid. I feel like a lot of teams have those guys now. And he just was all over the place. He had 14 tackles, an interception. A sack, sorry. He had a great game. Caleb Williams in that fourth quarter with the interception was just terrible. He said it was a miscommunication, but I don't know. I mean, I don't really trust Caleb, what he says. For some reason, I just don't. But I guess I have to trust him. And I thought that, the Bears had a great season. I mean, I thought Caleb Williams was terrible coming in this year. He played a lot better. That coach was really, really good. And they have a bright future. They have a really bright future. So my buddies are Bears fans. They're excited, But they got to get some draft picks on that defensive line, or maybe go get Crosby or Myles Garrett or something like that. But yeah, I mean, if they get a little bit more defense, they'll be all right. They got so many weapons in offense. Loveland did get hurt in the fourth quarter, never came back. Looked like it may be a concussion. Um, and the the fat kicker gets the field goal in the fourth quarter. I thought for sure when he was going to come on the field, when he was coming on the field, I thought for sure they were going to miss it, just because warm weather teams play terrible in the cold weather. They never win, and the Rams won yesterday. I got to give them credit. I thought the running game was great yesterday. Kyron Williams is such a good running back. I mean, the offensive line on the Rams really isn't that good at all, and they just didn't matter. Kyron Williams was finding holes, making great runs. Devontae Adams has been such a good player for them. He's been such a difference maker. When he got injured for a little while in the game yesterday, you could tell the difference when he's on and off the field. He just makes such a big impact. And I think Puka's not really the same without him. Puka kind of needs him. And their tight ends are just so good. They got so many tight ends to throw to. It'll be interesting again to see the Rams-Seahawks matchup again next week. That'll be fun. That'll be interesting to see. But yeah, Bears had a great season. I'm happy for them. Even though they lost, they'll get better. They'll be better. Caleb needs to be better. Caleb's just so inconsistent. Like, he'll make these crazy throws, and the next throw will be an interception or a terrible pass. He'll airmail some or throw it short. And he's also got to fix his body language. I'm sick of his body language. His body language is horrendous. It's terrible. It's terrible, terrible, terrible. I'm sick of it. But that's like the meat. That's like potatoes. That's not really the meat. He'll fix that. But yeah, I mean, those are great games. It was fun. Yesterday was a really fun day. The Broncos-Bills game was a great game. That was a crazy game. I'm happy the Broncos won because I was so afraid of the Bills and Josh Allen. And now the Broncos quarterback's out, which is terrible. I feel bad for the Broncos fans, actually, even though they could still win. Patriots are historically not good there, and their home field advantage is very, very good, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's it for the NFL playoff divisional round preview. Post review, I guess. We're just reviewing the games, but yeah. So we'll talk about the college football playoff game tonight. The national championship's on tonight. It's crazy. This is like, with Miami being it, all you hear about is Indiana, and Miami's like the big brand. And you never. I know I've been saying this the whole postseason. You never think to say that Indiana's in the national championship and they're favored by 8.5 versus Miami. If you said that to yourself, even beginning of the season, when Indiana was going to be good, you'd be crazy. I mean, Kurt Cignetti just turned that place around and been such a good coach. I love that guy. You saw him say that NFL is not his thing. He'll stay at Indiana for a while, which is very good. And they got Mark Cuban donating the money now, so they'll have infinite money. Seems like they're just going to keep getting better and better and better. They don't even have a 5-star on the roster, which is crazy. But that being said, Miami's defensive line, the defense is very, very strong. Probably one of the best defenses in the league. Indiana's is too, but Miami's best is such good defense. The defensive line is like, if you add all the both the line of scrimmages up together, Miami has such a huge advantage, and I think that's important. But yeah, I do got Indiana winning by a close game. I think it will be a close game. A lot of people think it's going to be a blowout, and I disagree. I think it'll be a close game. Mendoza might struggle a little bit against that good defense. Their run game might not be able to get going because that defense is good. Indiana's defense is great. Their point differential is number one. I think Carson Beck needs to have a great game to win. They just can't be one-dimensional and run the ball all day like they kind of did against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, sorry, voice crack, Jesus. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of stars there tonight, too. They're playing in Miami. I mean, what a coincidence and such an advantage for Miami. But Indiana fans travel great, so maybe they just all go down there, want to be in the warm weather and stuff like that, and travel heavy. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see how Mendoza plays against one of these a good defense like this. Their running back's great. They have a ton of weapons on offense. It should kind of equal each other because, other than the defensive line is good. Everybody knows that in Miami, but their secondary is very, very good, very, very strong. But yeah, I hope they just win for the sake of Indiana football won a national championship. That'd be cool. And I know the Miami whole thing is a little overrated. They were never really that good. They were good, but not that good. But yeah, it'll be cool and fun to see. I'm excited for it. I feel like it hasn't been talked about that much because the NFL playoffs has been so crazy and so fun. I'm looking forward to it, and we only have 4 more football games left: the national championship, the AFC, NFC conference championships, and the Super Bowl. So might as well just sit back and enjoy it, and don't have to worry about anything else, and have a good time watching football. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna talk about some NFL coaches next, and then I feel like with all the jobs opening and closing, I feel like I just wanted to rank the list from 1 to 8. Those are how many openings there are right now. Um, but yeah, so we saw that Kevin Stefanski got hired by the Falcons. I think that's a terrible job. I think that's not a good place to go. They don't have a quarterback. They don't have many weapons on offense other than London and Bijan Robinson. Kyle Pitts is a free agent. They'll have to sign him back. Their offensive line has a lot of injuries last year. We'll see how they come back this year. Their defense is really good. I really like their defense. The young pass rushers, their secondary is good. They had one of the best pass defenses in the league. Then you get maybe a little bit better in linebacker and defensive tackle. But yeah. Their owner's kind of stupid. Their owner inducted himself into the Hall of Fame. Look, that's such a tool bag thing to do. Or Ring of Honor. The Falcons Ring of Honor. Matt Ryan will be their president now, so Matt Ryan will work with Stefanski. I think it was very important for them to hire a coach soon after Harbaugh because once the first coach gets hired, it's a known thing where once the first coach gets hired, he gets kind of the best staff because there's more people to pick out there. So it was important for Stefanski to get out there. I mean, I'm not worried about him on the offensive side of the ball. He knows what he's doing on offense. He just never had a quarterback in Cleveland, but he knows what he's doing on offense and stuff like that. But he'll just figure out what to do on the defensive ball. Maybe he brings Jim Schwartz with him over there if he doesn't get a head coaching job. He's been interviewed a bunch of head coaching jobs, which I don't know why. He was a terrible coach when he was a head coach, and he's kind of a loser. But yeah, Stefanski will find a way to make it work there. If it's with Penix, I don't think Penix is all that bad. He just got to stay healthy. Kirk Cousins, he was a good backup at the end of the year. He played good, actually. So maybe they can start out the year with him, and or maybe they cut him. I feel like there might be a chance they cut him. I just don't know. I just don't know the situation with Penix coming back, when he's going to come back. Is he going to come back for week 1? Do you trust him? Do you try to find a different quarterback next year? I don't know. But and that franchise has historically been losers and a dumpster fire, so we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, then you saw the big news this morning. I woke up this morning, you saw that Bills fired Sean McDermott, and they're going to keep their GM, which I think is crazy, but we'll talk about the coach first. The coach is McDermott. When he first came on the scene, he turned that franchise around. Let's not forget he made it to the playoffs with young Josh Allen when Josh Allen wasn't good. Let's not forget Josh Allen was not a good player when he first came in the league. He was very inaccurate, very inconsistent. He was not the Josh Allen he is now. He didn't come right on the scene, was good. He was not very good when he first came in. He made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor his first year. They ended up losing in Jacksonville. But, you went to the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor in the first year as a coach as the Buffalo Bills coach, which is crazy. It's just crazy. But down the stretch, I think his message got stale. His defense has not been good the last couple of years. He keeps on losing in the big games. I don't think his coaching's been very good in those big games either. But yeah, it was time for them to move on. Especially with Josh Allen, you don't want to waste this window by keeping him around when it's clearly not working. I don't blame them at all. A lot of people out there are saying, this is crazy. This is crazy. Why are those coaches getting fired for this? This is crazy. This is not good. Why are we doing this to coaches? The Chiefs broke him. They just did. They broke him. He was never the same after the 13-second game. They just kept getting worse and worse and worse, even though Allen kept getting better and better and better, and they just kept losing, kept not winning. But yeah, and I think a lot of it's actually on the GM's fault too. They have an expensive roster, but who's good on the roster? On offense, they got 2 good tight ends and James Cook. That's it. Shakir's all right, but maybe he's a number 2 or 3 receiver. Probably number 2. Number 3 is a little low. he's probably number 2 receiver. But but yeah, I mean, he did a terrible job at making this team. They don't have any good receivers. They haven't drafted well. Um, um, the corner they drafted has been hurt. Like I said earlier, the defensive lineman was hurt. Ed Oliver was also hurt. Um, Terrell Bernard was also hurt, and Jordan Poyer were hurt. They had a lot of big injuries. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it was time for them to move on. It's kind of like the John Harbaugh situation where, they just couldn't get there year after year after year. The message is growing stale. Your side of the football has not been good. That's the key for me. If your side of the football as an offensive defense coach is not good, that's kind of your sign where you're not a very good coach. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they hire. I was just looking online, seeing who the candidates are, and I think that they should go with more of a defensive coach to get that defense good, because Josh Allen will be good no matter what. So I think maybe like a Brian Flores or Jesse Minter would be good for them. But I also heard names like McDaniel. That wouldn't work there. He's just such a soft coach and playing cold that just doesn't make sense to me. Clint Kubiak in Seattle. Yeah, I don't know. Let's not forget, in New Orleans it was a disaster for him. But he's making Sam Darnold look good, so I don't know. Brian Daboll. A lot of people don't think he's a good coach, but I actually do. I think that maybe would work. But like I said, or Joe Brady or Mike McCarthy. Joe Brady's their good offense coordinator. As soon as he came there, their offense turned so much better. Maybe they just send him up to head coach, or Mike McCarthy, which I don't agree with. I think that's just a name going around right now. That's like a safe pick. But I think they got to go with Brian Flores and Jesse Minter. Both their defenses have been very good where they've been. They seem like a knockoff Mike McDaniel, the guy in Seattle, not the one, not the offensive coach for the Dolphins, but the one in Seattle. I like Brian Flores a lot. I think the thing in Miami really wasn't his fault very much, even though all these reports of him screaming at Tua and stuff like that. But Tua's just a soft ass baby. Let's not forget that. But Flores, I think Flores would really work with Pittsburgh too. It just kind of fits their identity, same as Minter. But yeah, I mean, we'll see maybe the Bills go after someone we don't expect to. Like, I don't know. You saw these reports year after year after year. Maybe Belichick would go there, but he's such a clown. He's such a fraud. His time's over. But yeah, it was time for them to go. It was just time for him to go. Especially he wasn't getting the side of the football right. Even with the injuries, they still had a lot of good players in that defense. They just couldn't do it. And Billy Bean, they're going to keep him, which I'm surprised about. He hasn't done a good job at getting a good team around Josh Allen. It's been all on Josh Allen's back with no help at all. And if you keep him, I don't know. But yeah, and I wanted to just do a little exercise to end the podcast with just ranking the NFL coaching jobs from 1 to 8. I think that the worst 3 jobs are kind of in the same bucket, were the Browns, Dolphins, and Cardinals. I think the Cardinals is the worst, then the Dolphins, then the Browns. I think the Cardinals is the worst because the owner's terrible, but you can say the same thing. All 3 of these teams are in the same bucket. So you can rearrange the order however you want, but they're all the same. I think they all have bad owners, terrible quarterback situations, bad roster situations. They're all pretty expensive, and you're all going to lose there, no matter what. So I don't know, and then in the Titans, I thought the Titans were better than those jobs because the Titans have a quarterback, they have some weapon, they have some things on their team that are good. They got Simmons who's good. They got a corner in Snead who's good. They'll have a high draft pick. Their owner's terrible though. Terrible owner, terrible front office, stuff like that. But if you have a good coach, that kind of masks all that. So yeah, maybe they'll get a good coach and they'll turn it around. I think the Steelers are good. I don't really believe in what the owner's saying right now. I think you do have to bottom out to fund the quarterback. You see year after year after year they're picking the 20s and they get Kenny Pickett, or they try to sign Rodgers or Mason Rudolph or something like that. But it's time for them to get younger too. They're the oldest team in the league. They're the most expensive defense in the league, and their defense isn't even good. I'm pretty sure they have 8 starters in defense that are above 30, which is crazy. They don't have that many pieces to work around. I would trade T.J. Watt for first-round picks. He's like 0-5 in the playoffs. Clearly, he's not going to work in the playoffs. If he has, he would have already. Um, Ramsey's not the same. Hayward's not the same, even though he had a good year. Their offensive line's terrible. They have no weapons. DK Metcalf hasn't been very good. They wasted a second-round pick on him. I think it's time, and you saw they're not going to bring back Rodgers. I think it's just time to bottom out and kind of maybe fire sale a little bit. I know their owner said they'll never do that, but you got to find a quarterback. If you don't do that, you never like the Patriots did it with Drake May. I mean, they didn't try to bottom out; they were just that bad. But the Rams got to consider. Not the Rams. The Steelers got to consider that. And then I have the Raiders is the next one, just because they have some weapons on offense, they have some weapons on defense. Is Max Crosby, Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. Their left tackle Colton Miller is good. They have Devin White on defense, who's all of a sudden just a stud of linebacker again. But yeah, I mean, and they got the number 1 pick. They're gonna get Mendoza, so they got a good GM. I think their GM is pretty good. Spytech. They got Tom Brady there, and their owner is not a good owner, but he's trying. He's trying. Unlike these other owners, he's trying to pay money. He's doing the best he can. Unlike all these other owners who just want to collect the check and not really care about the football team. And then the second best job I got is the Ravens. Obviously, with Lamar Jackson, they have a good front office. They have a good owner who's always willing to spend. They got the quarterback. They got a great defense that just needs something to happen there with a coaching change or something like that. They just need to stay healthy too. They have Matabuka coming back next year. And they still got Roquan Smith. They got the linebacker Simpson. I think is good. They got Kyle Van Noy, who's still good at his age. They got Nate Higgins, who's good. Hamilton, who's good. Malik Stark, who's good. Or Malachi Stark, who's good. Humphrey's terrible now, but they'll replace him in the draft maybe. Their offensive line's not bad. They definitely got some pieces that they can work with, but they'll have to build around Lindenbaum and Ronnie Stanley and get and Rosengard and get more. But yeah, their front office is really, really good. They have a great owner, but the best job has to be the Bills because of Josh Allen. You got the quarterback, the best one in the league probably in my opinion, and you're going to have whatever coach you can to pick from out there. That's why I think it's like such a bad spot they're in to fire Sean McDermott now, because they could have got Harbaugh or Stefanski to help them. But they'll still have the top choices out there, the best remaining candidates. But we'll see what happens with them. It's definitely the best job out there though, just because of Allen. I think we can all agree on that. But the GM, I guess, is going to stay, which is so weird. If they get a powerful coach, the coach will just ice him out and he'll have no power. So it wouldn't even matter. That's what's happened with Harbaugh. I guess Harbaugh, nice reports have come out that Joe Shane, their GM there, has no juice at all, no leverage, and John Harbaugh won't report to him, which is crazy. So I don't even know what he does. But yeah, we'll have a couple more episodes this week. We'll talk about the college football playoff, national championship, some storylines going around sports, and then at the end of the week we'll have a review on the weekend, and we'll have some predictions on the AFC Championship, NFC Championship, and who's going to go to the Super Bowl. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming to the podcast. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. It's really important for me. I'm trying to make this the biggest and the best we can. Comment maybe some things I can improve on. Comment what do you think about my takes and stuff like that, if you agree, disagree. But yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Have a good week, rest of your week. Happy Monday, and so go Pats, I guess. Even though I'm just gonna try to stay neutral doing this podcast, but at the end of the day, I'll be rooting for the Patriots. But yeah, everybody have a good week. I appreciate you tuning in, and send it to your friends, like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Everybody have a good one.